Hey, this is Matthew Ricks, and today on the Music Business Newsletter, we got an email from an introvert. Probably wouldn't want to come on and do an interview, but before we dive into that email, if you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible. I don't need you to become a member or to buy a book or join a Patreon or any of that nonsense. It's absolutely free. Just go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question, and we will answer it here on the channel. Now for the email. He says, "Hey, Matthew, I'm writing because I honestly don't know who else to ask. I feel stuck in a way that's starting to scare me, and I need someone who understands this industry to tell me whether I'm being dramatic or whether I should take this seriously." I just want to start off by saying I'm a guy who's devoted his entire life to the music industry. I am not a therapist or a doctor or a lawyer, but I will try my best here. He says, "I'm based in Portland, Oregon, and I've been making music for years. Writing songs is the only thing that feels natural to me. I can sit for hours and create. That part never feels like work, but everything outside of that, it's actually becoming unbearable." So you sound kind of like a typical artist. Most artists, there's two segments of artists. You have the one segment that just loves having the camera in their face, just can't get enough of being on social media, creating TikToks, doing dances, whatever. And then the other segment is the ones who come into social media and the promoting, kicking and dragging. You just, they're screaming, kicking and dragging. It's not uncommon for an artist to just rather write songs, be in the studio, play shows, not want to do interviews, not want to do TikToks or Instagrams. You have to, a lot of times with new artists, pretty much convince them or blackmail them that they have to do it. Like it's good for their career. But let's continue. He says, "The problem is I'm an introvert, not the quirky, shy kind people joke about. I mean, the kind who shuts down around cameras, freezes up when a phone is pointed at him, and mentally spirals every time I try to fill something." Yikes. That is, yikes. Shutting down around cameras, freezes up when a phone is pointed at him, and mentally spirals every time I try to film something. I mean, have you thought about talking to a therapist, a professional about this? Because I know that there is, you have some artists, the great band Rancid, Tim Armstrong from Rancid, he's an introvert. He doesn't do interviews. You're not going to see him posting on Instagram. Everything that is posted on his official Instagram page is either a promo for an artist he's producing or a new painting project. And it's not even ran by him. He doesn't, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in the music industry. Pure sweetheart. However, he just doesn't dig it. It's just not his thing. And it's funny, the band's been around now for 30 years, and he just kind of avoids the spotlight as much as possible. And you'll be hard-pressed to find a lot of interviews of Tim. I know artists who have anxiety going up on stage. Their heart's racing, palms are sweaty. What is that, mom's spaghetti? However, when a phone is pointed at you, to be spiraling is probably something I would suggest talking to a professional about, because that seems kind of more severe than a typical artist just having performance anxiety or just being an introvert who doesn't want to post their life on Instagram. I mean, if you were sitting across from me from a table and you brought this all up, I guess I would ask you is, where does your mind go when you start spiraling? What are you afraid of? But he continues here and he says, "I hate how I look. I hate how I sound. I hate how forced I feel. It's like the second I hit record, I stop being myself and start overthinking every breath. That's not uncommon. If you went back to 2014 and listened to the first Matrix Minute from 2014, it's not great. Even if you went and looked at the first video newsletter that I did 6-7 weeks ago, it was a little wonky. It was a little, you got to kind of build into it. Hating how you look. I don't know a lot of people who are like, yo, I look like fire all the time. Every time I'm on Instagram, just look like $1,000,000. I can relate to hating how I sound because I hate my voice. I think it's too high pitch. I wish it was deeper, which people say I'm crazy, but hey, I live with it. I live with my voice. You start feeling like this the second you hit record, before you've even seen the finished product, went back to review it, to edit it. Yeah, that's pretty severe, man. You hate how forced you feel. Like I said, go back and listen to the Matrix Minute from 2014. You can go watch the first interview I ever did on this channel, which was with Grade 2. Those guys were friends, and I wasn't as comfortable as I've been with my last couple of interviews, and that was 3 years ago. The more you do it, the better you get, the more comfortable you get. Probably right now, if I was just to dissect just this email, if you're sitting across from me, I would tell you you're probably thinking too much. If you're worried about how you look, how you sound, what shoes you're wearing, oh, I shouldn't have wore these pants, like you're just overthinking everything. And so I would tell you to really hug yourself, love yourself, figure out why you feel this way, but definitely try to get with a trained professional who can help you walk through this, just to navigate. How you don't say if you're married or not, but let's say one day you do want to get married. Are you not going to be in wedding pictures? Are you not going to be, when your kid graduates kindergarten, are you not going to be in the picture because you're going to just be spiraling from that? Or is it performance-based as an artist? Because some of that might be you just don't feel like the songs are good enough, or you don't belong here, or nobody cares what you're going to say. And I think some of that is relatable to all artists. You just kind of work through it. He continues. He said, it's gotten so bad, and where the pressure to show my face online makes me physically anxious. Yikes. I put myself in this category. There's some pretty ugly people in the world who are on Instagram, who are on YouTube. All right. Surely you're not a mutant, like yours truly. And that's my own anxiety. I have a brother who's gorgeous, an older brother who's gorgeous. So my entire life, it was always like, you'd have girls talk to you in high school just to get close to your brother. But see, I got my own therapist. I'm working this through. But I get the anxiety about showing your face. I remember the first time I did any of this stuff, I was like, why do I look like that? Why do I get 5 chins when I put my head back and stuff? It's normal. But to be physically anxious about posting online as an artist, yikes. I just keep saying that because I just this is pretty, I know performance anxiety. I know introverts. I'm not a doctor, not a therapist, just bird's eye view, man. This is pretty severe. He says, meanwhile, everywhere I turn, I hear the same message. If you're not posting daily, you don't exist. I don't post daily. And I exist. Well, we do post these newsletters every day, but on Instagram and stuff, I don't. But as an artist, you should be posting. You should be posting. He says, he goes, I also hear if you're not on TikTok, you have no chance. TikTok helps you. It helps you, but there are plenty of artists who aren't on TikTok who are just fine, but they are somewhere on the internet. He says, I also hear you're basically invisible unless the algorithm chooses you. Now that is true. And the way that you do get the algorithm to appreciate and value you is to post consistently. He says, and I am trying. I really am. I've filmed hundreds of clips, deleted almost all of them. I dated a woman once who, if she was going to post a picture on Instagram, it didn't matter if it was a couple picture, a selfie, her walking through the forest. It didn't matter. There were 70 pictures. And then she'd go through and find the best one. And it just seemed exhausting. I probably should be a little bit better at it because I'm just like, okay, let's do it. One, snap, I'm out of here. Post it. I probably should be better at it. But to have filmed hundreds of clips and delete almost all of them, that's a lot of waste of time. What if, here's an idea. What if you film it and then you let somebody else, maybe a significant other, maybe a band member, maybe a best friend, post all your stuff for you? That way, you just film it, you walk away, you don't even have to look at it. There's an idea. He says, I feel stupid and embarrassed watching myself back. Yeah, get somebody else to do it for you. He says, it's honestly breaking something in me that used to be excited about music. I can't tell you how, I mean, we haven't been doing these newsletters long, but how many artists, regardless if it's their entitlement or the stupid business decisions they've made, or to the point where you have so much anxiety you can't even post, all goes back to just, man, if you're in your head, you're dead. Like if you just live there and you think about stuff, you know, I went through a period of my life with the Matrix Minute where I would obsess over them. They never came out because I'd be like, I can do better. I can do better. Because I was trying to prove something to people who weren't even listening. I was trying to prove, and I was like doing Matrix Minutes and taking like subtle shots at these people, but they weren't even listening. They didn't care. But that caused me to kind of spiral and get in a loop where I was like, I can do better. And then I would erase it. And I never would. I lost a year because I was like, okay, I've had this happen. I feel embarrassed. I feel like there's people gunning for me. I'm going to respond. And I would record it. And it wasn't good enough. I was in my head. I hated my voice. Oh, I can't believe I said it that way. I'll do it again. I had no team at this moment in time. Nobody just be like, we're going with it. Knock it off. And I never got anything out. That was all of 2018, 2019, whatever the Matrix Minute season 4 was. There was an intro and then life just kind of went sideways and nothing ever came out. Nothing. So it continues. What scares me the most is that I'm starting to believe I don't have a future in this industry solely because I can't be a social media performer. You don't mention if you play shows or not. So do you have anxiety performing shows, or is it just a social media thing? Because if you're like, yeah, I get up on stage and rock it, I just don't like my social media, then I would once again suggest cut the clips, record the clips, get somebody else to do it. Like you can't even delete them if you wanted to. You'd have to break into their house and delete them. Pay somebody to do it, get a buddy to do it, somebody who just wants to grow and learn. And you don't even have to look at your Instagram page, then just let somebody else run it for you. But if this is a problem with you live as well, the introvertedness is a problem live, you're probably stuck as an artist until you get some professional help. Because I don't know an artist who is going to be this anxious to do the bare minimum stuff in 2025 as an artist. But I don't know. You don't say anything about your live shows, or you might, since you don't talk about it, since you don't reference back to it, probably means you don't play a lot of shows. So if you're not playing shows and you're on social media to promote your music, but you can't promote your music because you get physically anxious to be on camera, you're kind of stuck, man, unfortunately. But he continues. He goes, here are the things I'm almost afraid to say out loud. Can someone who hates being on camera still build a music career today? You can hate being on camera. You can absolutely hate being on camera. But to the point where you're physically anxious and it's making you like physically sick and you're just kind of stuck, it gets a little bit more difficult. Absolutely it does. He goes, is there any path left for artists who aren't natural personalities? Yeah, You just have somebody else do everything and you don't worry about it. You just smile and let them edit it, let them take care of it, all of that. You just stay out of the process. He says, does the music even matter anymore if you're not constantly performing online? I love this question because I get it all the time from artists who, social media is so stupid. I just want to play music. What's the point of being an artist if all you got to do is perform on TikTok? Social media, being online is a form of marketing. It's a form of getting your brand out there. It's a form of people finding out who you are. If you have social anxiety doing this and you don't want to be online, then you're going to have to go like door to door to people to introduce your music. And I would imagine that would be incredibly anxious to cold approach people in person. You probably do not have a day job in sales, I would assume. He continues, am I wasting my time if I can't become the type of artist the algorithm rewards? Well, you're not, you're blaming the algorithm. Oh, it's the algorithm's fault. Am I wasting my time if I can't become the type of artist the algorithm rewards? You're blaming the algorithm. It's not that the algorithm's going to reward you. It's that you're telling me you have made hundreds of clips and you'll delete them all. So you're not even giving the algorithm a chance to reward you because you're not posting anything. So it's not about the algorithm rewarding you. It's about I think if you went out there and you started posting and you got out of your head, you'd probably realize it's not as big of a deal as you think. And the more that you do it, probably your anxiety would lessen. And it'd probably be a good growing experience for you. He continues, I feel like I'm being pushed into a version of myself that doesn't exist. That's everyone with social media. You know, it's funny because I got a 12-year-old and she's kind of a natural with film and stuff. She's got a little YouTube channel where all she does is, she's not on it, but she just posts like all the concerts we go to and stuff. And she's telling me things like, oh, you got to do the video in this panorama and you got to do it like this. And she's kind of built that way. You know, I'm older, so I'm like, huh? And she'll tell me how we were actually joking earlier today because I told her I was going to post a picture of her and she's like, I'll report your page and get it deleted. I'll get your whole page deleted. And I'm like, you're 12. How do you know this? I say all that to say that some artists just aren't comfortable with social media. Some pick it up right away. I used to tell people at events that we got kids who know how to upgrade their iPad before they know how to tie their shoes. It's just what this generation is. You seem to be more of an old soul. And so the social media thing is going to be a little bit harder for you to wrap your head around. It's totally understandable. But just do it. Just throw it out there. Or once again, get somebody else to do it so you can't delete it. Because you'd probably be, if you got to the point where you put it online, you'd probably like 5 seconds later be like, oh, there's not 1 million likes and you delete it right away. He says, all of this is making me question whether my dream is realistic anymore. Well, if you have physically crippling anxiety about posting online, the dream is not looking great. Because once again, you do not tell us what you're like live. Can you talk to people on stage? Can you talk to them at the merchandise table? Who books your shows? Do you call them and book? Or is there just like massive anxiety when you contact a club or a bar to try to get a show? He says, I feel desperate for clarity because part of me is terrified I'm failing before I've even had a chance. Yeah. Once again, dude, you gotta get with a professional here. My 2 things I would tell you to do from Uncle Matt. All right. Uncle Matthew, your cool uncle. Get somebody to handle your social media, do the video editing, and get with a trained professional to work through this stuff. Because what is your 26? Dude, you got a whole life ahead of you that people are going to be putting cameras in your face. And that's even if you're not an artist. If you want to have cool experiences with a significant other or kids, the camera's going to be in your face and you're not going to look great half the time, especially if a kid is taking the picture. He says, if you have any honest insight, even if it's hard to hear, I really need it. You're going to have to work this out or I don't know, write songs. But here's the thing. You can't even be a songwriter because you'd have to approach people. And if you have massive anxiety or But see, you don't say. Do you have anxiety in person or is it just online? Because if you have anxiety just online, then you could cold approach artists to write songs for them and just be a songwriter and just be, an introvert and not really have to be online. If you ever won a Grammy, though, bro, your head would explode if you had to walk out in front of all those people. But what I would tell you to do if you're sabotaging your social media this much, get a friend who records the videos so you can't delete them. Let them post it. I'd even lock you out of your Instagram account because I would not for a second trust you that you're not going to go in and just delete it in the middle of the night because your anxiety is so crippling. And two, I would get with a trained professional who can help work through this anxiety, because this is not typical introverted artist with performance anxiety, or I don't like social media, but I do it. Like, this is crippling. And I feel sorry for you, man, because you have a song that people need to hear. You have a voice that people need to hear, and they can't hear it if this is so crippling that you're just kind of stuck. But thanks for the email. If you have a question on the music industry that you'd like for me to answer, just go to MatthewRicks.com, click submit your question, give me as many details as possible. And until next time, I will talk to you later.